Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. A like and a subscribe would be great. I'm just going to put that straight off the bat. I know we put it at the end, but since you're here, it would be nice. But if you want to stick around for the video, basically on this one, we're going to be talking about the companies and developers that are kind of going out of their comfort zone and trying to do games which are not really panning out and working for them. I know financially wise, they are bragging that they have recouped the money and the funds, but this isn't always the case, that the game is actually good or it's worthy of accolades such as it should be. So anyway, let's get into this. That basically CD Projekt Red, first off the bat, came up with this with Cyberpunk 2077. Now we know they are famous for the Witcher 3 series, which is a third perspective game. The worlds are massive, characters are great. Now, thing is with stuff like that, you like seeing the characters and what they're wearing and everything like that. You don't need that first person perspective. GTA did both functions as well as they did it on Red Dead Redemption. Now that was a little perk of the game, which I thought was really cool, that you could actually switch between third person, first person. A couple of games have done it. Skyrim. Anyway, a couple of games, not I can think of. But back to my point is that the excuse was that the world deserved to be in a first-person perspective. Now, obviously, this being the true first-person perspective game, didn't really shine out that much. And I don't get the whole cosmetic thing with first-person games either. I don't see the appeal of it. If you're playing a first-person character, same as COD and stuff like that, I really don't care what the character looks like. It's no significance to what and how I'm playing the game. If I was playing a third-person character, I really want to get involved and see what that person is wearing. You feel more in touch with the character and stuff. But there's always that separation on a first-person perspective. That's in my opinion. But anyway, personally, I still think Cyberpunk 2077 would have worked better in a third person. And the car mechanics, I will give this to them, were fantastic. It looked great. It was really outlaid, really good. So that was the only good focal point I could really put on Cyberpunk. Now, the other one that I've touched on earlier on in a couple of videos back, the Medium. Now this company, they did a third person perspective game, and it looked like a real cheap rip-off angle of Resident Evil and the way they were walking and the camera angles and stuff. Didn't like it. It's you could see that it wasn't the usual formula, and it's not. They used to do more horror stuff. Now, if they had done Cyberpunk 2077, I think it would have been a much far better game than what CD Projekt Red would have done. Because, this company made Layers of Fear and Observer, one of my favourite games of all time. Observer, absolute standing. So for them to switch into doing that character type of game, you could see that it didn't look right. And I know that they've said that they've recouped their money back within day one. Now we know that's partly because of the Game Pass feature, because I don't think that many people would have bought that game that day one. Personally, I'd like to see more statistics on that, but I don't really care if I'm honest with you. But I'm just saying that there's become this trend that developers have to kind of give not an excuse. They have to tell the people that that even though you think our game sucks or anything blah blah blah, we've made our money back. We don't really care now because we've made our money back now. We can do what we want. It doesn't work like that. Not in my mind anyway. It shouldn't be working like that. So, I just wish they would stop doing that now. It's starting to become, like I said, a trend, and I think they need to just bring that back, as in to say, like, yeah, it's been great, blah, 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 but we don't have to brag about it and toot our own horn. So, back to, like I said, you don't see, like, games like Assassin's Creed switched into a first-person perspective. Now, this is going to bring me on to Resident Evil, because Resident Evil 7 and 8 is also now in a first-person perspective. Now, we know the Resident Evil genre has always been the third-person character style, and it's worked really well for them. I think a lot of diehard fans were really upset. And the other thing with first-person games, well, a lot of people can't play them because they get really bad headaches and they just feel nauseous about playing the game. It's too much. It's like it's that next step before VR, really, isn't it? You really feel if you immerse yourself. I haven't got a problem with them, but they have. Now, with the Resident Evil series, I would have much preferred that they did a different storyline on Resident Evil 7 without any of the characters from the previous games and created a new IP and just brought Resident Evil 7 in on its own in a third perspective game. And same with Resident Evil 8. I think they should have... these two last games should have been a new IP of... I don't know, whatever name they wanted to make up for it, a new horror genre game that they've got going on, and separate themselves from the Resident Evil family, if that makes sense. But that's personally me. I do love the games, and I'm excited to see Resident Evil 8. I've played Resident Evil 8, the demo, but I'm interested to see the actual game and the characters, because, you know what I mean, I love those type of games. Like I said, like Layers of Fear, Outlast, just shit your pants kind of horrors, really. So I think a lot of developers need to kind of go back to their roots and stick to what they know and what works, and what works well with the gamers, because gamers don't like a lot of changes. They don't. And you see that with the consistency of, I'll say, Naughty Dog, because they've consistently brought us quality games on a third person perspective. And other developers are just, you know, they go all over the shop. Ubisoft does a mix of different things, but when they've got their IP, that is it. That's the way they focus is. I wouldn't want to play Assassin's Creed game in first person. But I think developers are trying too hard, and I think they're mixing up a lot of things of what they think gamers want. When something's working, keep it and just pushing forward from there. And, you know, I hope they just learn a lot of lessons from this, and we'll see what happens in the future.